Well, as we've been in this for, almost 10 years now, often the resistance can come from the place we most think is unlikely, but it's actually can be within our own camp of the church. Mm-hmm. And I know that our 4-minute video that sort of casts the vision for the Seven Mountains, it's amazing what kind of comments we get back from that. And there are questions like, well, is this a theology? Is this dominionism? Are you trying to control culture? Let's put that one on the table here and just get your thoughts on that, and I'll give you my thoughts. How about we start with you, Lance?
Yeah, like I said last night, the irony is we're not in danger of anybody getting too giddy with too much dominion. The church anywhere globally is struggling to be able to sustain itself and preserve its own existence. So the whole anxiety about the dominionism comes from that 3 groups I talked about last night. If all you do is meet the person who is the warrior, you get the warrior, the bride, and the statesman. Those are the 3 faces of where the church is. That's the 3 types of streams we've got. If you meet the person who is in opposition to culture and they're the warrior, it's part of my problem is people will take my message, link their own interpretation to it, and go out and talk about taking down high places, coming against the devil. I'm very particular where I use that language, because you don't want to startle the horses out of the barn. If you're talking to a secular audience, you don't talk about having dominion over them. My gosh, that's what they're afraid of. That's what the left is saying, the right wants to do, and the right is saying the left wants to do. So the anxiety is based on misinformation. That what I'm saying today is, I want to find out who's anointed with the right ideas, and I want to serve them. And I want to be a Joseph, you're going to shake Pharaoh. This whole idea of taking over, and that language of takeover, it doesn't actually help. It's good for preaching to the choir, and it's shorthand if we interpret it right, but it's very bad for media, because we're not really trying to take over. We're trying to preserve and save culture and create a world that works for everyone and leaves no one out. And if that's the kind of language we use, which is statesman language, by the way, then we put a better soundbite on it. But in-house, we have a different language. So there's, I just think it's misrepresentation by enthusiasts that create anxiety. And then it's Christians who are very religious, I think, who are the first people to get weird, which is the people against me, for the most part. They're reacting. They aren't going to be for anything. Their whole business is in trying to pick apart other people.
Yeah, when we look at Genesis, it was a different context there when he said to have dominion, over all. You're talking to Adam and Eve right there, and they've got no people there. And the context of where we're living today, I believe, deals with more of solving societal problems, being salt and light where we are, being influencers. And when we solve problems, we automatically influence culture. We're not trying to control culture or change people. We're simply trying to reflect the love and power of Jesus in the environments that we're in. And we just happen to realize that these 7 spheres often and most define what people believe about culture.
Yeah, let me second what's being said here and what Lance has brought out. I think it is just a lack of wisdom and further defining when we use the terminology of dominion or taking over, because we haven't established what are we taking dominion over and what are we taking over. If we further define that, if we're saying we're taking over people and dominating people, it is scary. It is the wrong message. We're going back to the Inquisition. And that would be raising concerns by people, because that was all in the name of God, holy things, and that's not helpful. If we further define the dominion over darkness, I think every level of believer and non-believer is okay. We're saying light must prevail over darkness. Where there's lack of integrity, we want integrity. Where there's corruption, we want uprightness. Where there's injustice, we want justice. And if we interpret that, if we don't finish our definition of dominion and dominionism into being that, then it is scary, dangerous, and those who are listening can run with it and even create in small contexts of cities or whatever. Leaders, Christian, well-meaning one, can pick up on that lingo and carry it to a dangerous place. So we do really have to be careful with this terminology, that either not use it, and we just stick with we're light, And it's powers and principalities who we wrestle against. That's what we're bringing the weight of the kingdom of God against. And so that is what we're called to dominate. The citizens of earth will rejoice when we actually take dominion, because we are allowing them to breathe what they're supposed to breathe from heaven. So,
How about this idea of theology versus strategy? Is this a theology? The Seven Mountain Message.
Amplify that. No,
Is the Seven Mountain Message a new theology?
Okay. Is it a new theology? Yeah, well, you know, I guess, I know that the proper answer is it's not a new theology, but the fact is, it really is a new way of seeing the mission. And most of our paradigm, remember, we've got 17 centuries of lenses that have been formed. You don't realize you're coming into the meeting with lenses. You think you're coming in with an open mind. You're not. You're coming in with preconceived filters. 17 centuries of church-centric worldview. The church is at the middle, the priesthood is a hierarchy, and the world is to be avoided. We're revising that. We're saying that Jesus is Lord over the nations. That means that every system that is redeemable ought to have a witness of the kingdom. And my take on the dominion message is this. Jesus promised that there would be this gospel will be preached in all the world as a witness. Whether or not a nation responds positively to the witness determines whether it's a sheep nation or a goat nation. I don't believe, think about it. The apostles in the upper room happened in Jerusalem. Did they take their own city? There's a sobering thought. 12 apostles, Jesus the Messiah, and the upper room revival, which, is probably a little stronger than, Toronto or Pensacola, for all I know. But it didn't take Jerusalem.
That's right.
So, but the mission is accomplished if you are a witness. So what we want to do is establish verifiable credibility, that the ideas of the kingdom are bigger than just the church mountain. Jesus is the God of nations, the God of all the earth. Hence the Josephs emerge in Egypt, not in Jerusalem.